Hello, I'm Cody, and welcome to my channel. I'm going to be covering the ARK Invest Bitcoin monthly breakdown for the month of July here. This was released about 6 days ago, and I want to go ahead and cover everything here. I want to break it down for you. I want to go ahead and give my own thoughts and opinions on what ARK is looking for with the Bitcoin price and how this factors into the broader crypto market. But before we get to that, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to hit that like button and follow me on X and on Threads. So, starting with our Bitcoin monthly report, we're going to go right to the market summary. Now, I have the important parts here highlighted in yellow. So, they recently put out that Bitcoin's volatility has dropped to 6-year low during July, suggesting the potential for a significant price action in either direction. We're going to follow up on this in the upcoming slides. But it's like I've said in my recent videos, the Bitcoin price doesn't normally just move sideways for a long period of time. Instead, it consolidates, it pushes higher, or it breaks down and then pushes even lower. So usually we have these periods of consolidation, and then we also follow that by periods of extreme gain or extreme loss. Now, they also said that the supply of Bitcoin held by long-term hodlers hit an all-time high of 74.88% of circulating supply. Okay, this incredibly important. We always talk about the effect of long-term hodlers on the broader Bitcoin market as a whole, and in general, the more of these guys that have, the more of Bitcoin supply. That's generally very positive and bullish for Bitcoin, because they're not likely to sell those Bitcoin as like the price moves down, for instance. And they also said that there is, potentially speaking, a potentially sustained uptrend in the Bitcoin price because of this equilibrium, the equilibrium between the short and long-term holders, and that suggests strong fundamentals. Now, they also come out here and say that based off of some regulatory uncertainty, it is definitely outstanding that Bitcoin's been able to find technical support, and it shows Bitcoin's resilience. And I think that's also very important. We're going to cover that as we move on through this report. Now we're going to go ahead and go through network activity. So all this stuff is unchanged for the most part, except for transaction volume that has moved down about 27% month on month. And this has led to being a bearish indicator in ARK's view. Now, if you guys recall, the transaction volume kind of spiked earlier in the year as the ordinals came online and the additional Bitcoin related tokens came online, and that caused a spike in the transaction volume. Now, and especially if we compare this to year over year, that's down 49%. Now, I'm not too concerned about this myself. This is just kind of a temporary fluctuation that's associated with the market, the current market conditions, and especially the fact that we have a very uncertain macroeconomic picture. Next, we're going to talk about the market cost basis and the other metrics. So the market cost basis right now, or the realized price for July, was about 20,300. That should be very strong support for Bitcoin. Now, month over month change is down about 1% or so, and so they've downgraded this to a neutral view. That, again, not a huge deal in my opinion, and the 1 year change is only down 6%. Everything else is listed as bullish. Next, I'd like to talk about the support and resistance levels for Bitcoin. So if you guys have been tuning into my videos, we usually take a look at things like your 200-week moving average. We usually take a look at things like your realized price, and they're just noticing right here that it tends to bounce in between like your 200-week moving average here at about 26,623. And then the short-term holder cost basis, this is the price that the short-term holders, people who have held Bitcoin for less than 6 months, their realized price or their cost basis is about 28,000. So it's been bouncing in between these various levels here, and it's also pointing out the fact that we have this the resistance at the liveliness adjusted cost basis, and that's going to be at 33,900. So that is another level in which Bitcoin is going to have to push above in order to move higher, and in order to prove that it's we have bullish momentum, we have to push above this level here at 39, about 34,000. Next, they talk about Bitcoin volatility. And again, Bitcoin volatility has hit a point not seen since January of 2017. And so, what they're trying to explain here is that the volatility is extremely low. And this extremely low volatility is incredibly rare for Bitcoin. In the entire month of July, we really didn't get a lot of action either way, a lot of up and down, mostly just a lot of sideways consolidation. And that's what they're trying to explain here. Now, again, 2017. If you guys remember, that is just before the previous bear market in about 2018. Next, they talk about the compressed hash rate. Okay, they're saying here that the 30-day moving average of the hash rate dropped below the 60-day moving average, and they're suggesting that this basically marks out a capitulation in miner activity, and that's associated with oversold conditions in Bitcoin. So they're just saying that there are a number of indicators that point towards an oversold condition with Bitcoin, and that sellers will eventually become exhausted. And this is just another metric that they're using in order to show that. Next, they talk about the Bitcoin network liveliness. Okay, this is the ratio of the sum of coin days created to the sum of coin days destroyed, and really what it does is it measures the potential selling pressure relative to current holding behavior. Okay, so how intense is the selling right now? And this level has dropped below 60%, which signifies a long-term holding behavior, strong long-term holding behavior. And last time we saw this was in the last quarter of 2020, right before the start of the 2020 bull market. So this is bullish in ARK's view. There just hasn't been a whole lot of selling pressure, which is a nice change of pace compared to what we've seen over the last year. Next, they talk about the short-term holder cost basis, or in this case, SOPR, the spent output profit ratio. And basically what they're saying here is that people who have bought Bitcoin and held it for under 155 days are at a break-even profitability. And so what this means is that either it tends to correspond with a local top or a local bottom, depending upon if we're in a bull or a bear market. Now, the issue with this is that it's not entirely clear whether or not ARK describes this current market as a bull market or a bear market. But what they're saying here is that we're definitely close to a local top or a local bottom based off of this metric. Next, they talk about the Department of Justice scrutiny on Binance and how this affects Binance BNB coin. And so what we're seeing right here is that there have been some rumors that the DOJ is going to be charging Binance with fraud, and so that's kind of caused the BNB token price to fall dramatically, and it hasn't recovered as well as a lot of these other coins have, and as well as like Bitcoin and Ethereum have. And so there is a little bit of a concern that if they do get charged with that, then there could be a bank run on Binance itself. Now, Binance has survived a few bank runs, and they've been operating for longer in the space than many other exchanges, and they have survived many bank runs. So I'm not necessarily buying into the idea that they could have a bank run and that would cause a collapse, but they are saying that this is a potential risk in the future. Now, I can just about guarantee that if there is a bank run and it causes a collapse of Binance, then you're going to also see a huge drop in the Bitcoin price and a huge drop across a number of crypto, and basically pull out a lot of activity from the crypto space. Next, they like to talk about the Fed tightening. So we have talked about the Fed tightening quite a bit, and the fact that a Fed that's increasing interest rates is not good for Bitcoin, it's not good for crypto, and they're basically saying that the effects yet haven't been felt on the broader economy, and it will potentially cause a recession. And again, recession, not good for crypto, not good for Bitcoin. And the rising federal funds rate also increases the strength of the dollar, which is also not good for Bitcoin. So either way you slice it, what we're looking at is eventually getting to a point where these Fed funds rates stop rising and their pause, and then after that they will be cutting, and that will be bullish for Bitcoin and for crypto. They're saying basically here that we are we're heading towards a recession, which is something they've said on quite a few of these reports. They also point out that based off the Zillow rent index, that we should be seeing a slowdown of this consumer price index, the CPI, and a slowdown in rents specifically, which will cause a deceleration of the inflation. Okay, so this is really important because if inflation comes down, the Fed doesn't have to raise rates as aggressively, and then if that's the case, then we'll see positive effects in Bitcoin and crypto along with the broader economy. They also come out here and say that China has become a deflationary, and their yuan has depreciated in value by about 12% since February of 2022. This is neutral in ARK's view, but what it leads to is the idea that these Chinese exporters will have a difficulty with maintaining profitability, and they will have to cut prices in order to try and increase exports. So this is a neutral point in ARK's view. All right, so that ends the entirety of this Bitcoin monthly report. Now, my summary of what we've seen so far here is a number of bullish metrics. We've seen Bitcoin kind of just head sideways for a good chunk of July, and we've been expecting it to have a large breakout or a breakdown, and they've basically compiled everything together. These are things that I look for, such as your SOPR and your 200-week moving average and other metrics. But it's important to note that Bitcoin right now is kind of in a place of uncertainty, and the broader macroeconomic picture is, in their view, negative for Bitcoin and negative for crypto. So always keep that in mind. And this kind of reads more like a 50-50 kind of report where it's bullish for Bitcoin, but it's bearish on the economic front. And this is kind of in line with all the other Bitcoin monthly reports that they have done. So I love the information they put out in this, and let me know what you guys think. If you like seeing the Bitcoin monthly, if you wish that they would focus a little bit less on the macroeconomic, or if they wish they'd focus more on TA or something like that, definitely like to hear about it. And let me know what you guys think about this report. It's available on ARK's website. I always have the link in the description of the video. And thanks for joining me. I will catch you guys in the next video.